President Obama wrapping up his morning press conference this morning. This is the first news conference since the president announced his $447 billion jobs bill earlier in September. We have assembled a mega mind panel for you to talk about this. Joining me now is Ed Schultz, host of The Ed Show, Dylan Ratigan, host of MSNBC's Dylan Ratigan Show, NBC News White House correspondent Mike Vaquera, and we also have former Labor Secretary Robert Reich under President Clinton. Ed, I want to start with you. The narrative that the president is giving here is basically Obama is for jobs, the right is an obstructionist. How is he doing?
Keep on going at it. This president is focused. I think this is one of the best press conferences he has ever had. He's on message. He's on point. He is telling the Senate, if you don't vote for this, you need to go home and explain to your constituents what's bad about it. It has everything in it that the Republicans have advocated for in the past, and that's tax cuts for workers and tax cuts for small businesses. I think it is a home run for the president, and he kept coming back to it. It's about jobs. It's about jobs right now. And he also outlined what the Republicans have been saying in the meetings that he's had with them about things that they wanted to do, which are good long-term things that he has agreed to. But where is their plan right now? They don't have one, and I think the president drove that home today.
Ed, does it go far enough?
I think it goes far enough right now, and it's going to be paid for. $447 billion. The president also stepped up today and asked millionaires and billionaires and threw himself in that group, saying, I've got to pay more. We've got to ask them to do their fair share. It will not add to the deficit. He's challenging the American people, challenging the polls, challenging the Republicans. Show me your plan. And, oh, by the way, go get it scored by the same independent economists that say that my plan is going to work. I think it's a great moment for the president and the country, and I think the country is on this story. It's about jobs. It's about now.
Dylan, I've been lucky enough to have you on set for the last half an hour, so I'm going to let you jump in there.
Well, Ed, can I ask you a couple of questions? Because part of me agrees with what you just said, particularly the alignment. I think we all feel that the president has finally stepped out and said and identified the issue that we have to address and is putting himself at risk politically in order to advocate it in a way that I think we all have tremendous respect for and have been waiting for. Here's where I run into questions, and I'd be interested in how you resolve it. You and I both know that 20% of America is unemployed. That's 60 million people. If you take the president's number, 9% of the country is what he said in the press conference is unemployed. That's 25 to 30 million people. Here, can I tell you what frustrates me, Ed, and as I look here not from a political standpoint, but as an American and as a journalist, is I have two political parties. I have a Republican Party whose only objective is to make sure that there's no jobs created so that they can get in there and make this guy look bad. And then I have another president, and President Barack Obama, who's, by my view, could not be better intentioned, more impassioned, and more committed. But the best case scenario for his jobs plan is 1.2 million jobs, which is less than 3% of the problem. It's what they call on Wall Street a delta. And if you come with a solution for a problem, if I go to you, Ed, and I say, listen, I need $1 billion of something, and you come back to me with 5 million of them, and the other guy says, I want none of them, and my choice is 5 million and 0, I'm obviously in favor of the guy who wants 5 million, or in this case, 1 million. But don't I and the rest of America have a right to be frustrated with this entire apparatus for its refusal to acknowledge the size of the problem and address it on a scale that will solve it, as opposed to in a way that gets either 1 million jobs for Obama to get reelected or torpedoes 1 million jobs in order to get the Republicans in, which is good perhaps for their power balance, but ultimately does nothing to address the underlying issue of 30 to 60 million unemployed as a result of, again, in my view, an auction for trade policy, an auction for tax policy that Obama, by the way, is a victim of. This is not an indictment of the man. We have an auction for policies that dictate what creates tens of millions of jobs, and these people are locked in a battle between a good bunch of people that want to create some jobs as a optical progression and a bad bunch of people that don't want to create jobs so they can get power.
Ed, does it address the delta, like Dylan brings up?
You're not going to do this overnight, and the president has been very upfront about this all along. The president has also been willing to put his political capital on the line with his own base, saying that we're going to have to make some tough cuts. In business, as you well know, Dylan, there's a 1-year plan, there's a 5-year plan, there's a 10-year plan. You're not going to be able to put the whole enchilada on the table at one time and just catch all in a magic wand is waving it.
Hold on, let me ask you a question.
I didn't interrupt you, Dylan.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't interrupt you.
But I want to address that.
No, I don't care what you want to address. I didn't interrupt you.
Please don't. I'm not upset, and I apologize. I don't mean to upset you. I apologize.
All right, gentlemen, time out. Let's go. Ed.
Do I have the floor?
You do.
Okay, thank you. The president has put forth a plan that will put several million people to work right now.
1.2 million.
It's a start. It is a start. Where's the Republican start? You want the whole thing to happen right?
Ed, did you hear what I just said?
I got to go back and do my radio show. I'm not going to be interrupted by Dylan.